Welcome, everybody. Together we can, together we rise. MiCare, in partnership with the African Women and Families Network, Fijian Community Association Victoria, Burundi Cultural Ladies of Victoria, and the Southeast Somali Women's Group, are pleased to present to you tonight, Together with Men, conversations on respect, allyship, and an online talk about how men are working alongside women to build healthy and happy relationships. Just before we kick off the session, a few housekeeping issues. If you're not talking, please keep your microphone on mute. If you have a question, please feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand. This session will be recorded for funding and evaluation purposes, so please feel free to turn your camera off if you do not want to be recorded. In acknowledgement of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, I'd like to kick off our session with a welcome to country. MiCare, in partnership with the African Women's and Families Network, Burundian Cultural Ladies of Victoria, Fijian Community Associations Victoria, and the Southeast Somali Women's Group, acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as First Australians and recognises their culture, history, diversity, and deep connection to the land. We pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging of the Wathaurong, Boonwurrung, and Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation from where we are meeting to today, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. 16 days of activism together with men. It all starts with respect. Every year from the 25th of November to the 10th of December, 16 days of activism stop gender-based violence occurs across the world, bringing together individuals, communities, and organizations to come together and address gender inequalities, gender-based violence, and take action to prevent violence before it starts. Tonight, I'm pleased to present our first forum, Together with Men. From Africa to Asia to the Pacific, please join me in welcoming all of our guest speakers tonight who will be presenting about how they are championing respect within their communities to prevent family violence. I will now hand it over to Teresa from the African Women and Families Network to introduce our first guest speaker.
So my name is Teresa Senga Gasali. I'm the chairperson for the African Women and Families Network. And I'm feel privileged to be part of this program because I feel that together we can. And together we can make a difference. Now, also I would like to thank all the participants who are here to give us an insight, especially on the men's side. I would like to introduce Frederick Wamala, who is originally. Am I right? I can't see anybody except Rebecca. Is that right? Hello, Rebecca. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Thank you.
Frederick Wamala is originally from Uganda, and he has been here for many years. He's a father. Frederick Wamala, can you show your hand, please? He's a father, a grandfather, uncle, an elder within the community. Also, he has a lot of experience dealing with the family violence and also counseling. He's a trained community leader about domestic violence and recognizing the signs and incorporating African culture within the Australian law, so that we adapt to the new country, but also not losing our own culture and respect and what are our norms, so that we bring here and then we share. Training for African, also he has a certificate with the men's referral training. Frederick, you can chip in if I'm not being underselling you.
No, that's, thank you very much.
Also, Frederick volunteers a lot within the community, with working with the refugees, asylum seekers. He also has experience working with the family violence specialist agencies like In Touch. So he knows in and out of how those agencies work and how he fights with them to see that they work culturally appropriate with our communities. Furthermore, Frederick was one of the very active participants with the African Union and Families Network, strengthening capacity of African communities on the prevention of family violence. So without that experience, I thought it would be good for Fred to be able to share her experience as a man in Australia and how he understands gender equality and how to respect on the other ground.
Okay. Thanks so much, Teresa. Okay. Yes, as Teresa said, I've been here a long time, and I've had some kind of a bit of experience in domestic violence, and within Australian culture, but within the African community. Now, where do you want me to start, Teresa? Sorry. Yeah. Is that enough about me? I think that's about it's all about the session so today. Yeah.
I would maybe have just ask you a few questions, but you are free to answer them the way you feel.
Sure.
It is not really a question, it is more of a guiding, or I don't know how I can put it.
Okay, sure.
So what do you understand or respect mean to you, or how do you understand respecting, especially women or gender equality? What do you understand by respect?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Respect is quite a it's a big umbrella, and underneath the umbrella there is what I would call responsibility. Respect comes with responsibility, and now that responsibility is that one is listening. So the partner, I've lost you, Teresa. But anyway, listening. What I mean by listening is that the partner is to be able to listen to fellow to the partner, what they are saying, and pay attention to what they are saying, because that's part of the responsibility. The next part is, I'll speak very quickly, caring, to be able to care for the partner, you know, the things they are doing, how they are, how they feel about things, about themselves, about the whole situation, about in the home, how they feel. And the other thing is to be able to understanding. To be able to understand how the other person is feeling. If they are tired, and again tired, just to be able to understand how they're feeling, what they're saying. They need help, to be able to help them. And so the sharing of things around, like chores and things like that. If they have had a hard day, to be able to listen to them, to understand how they feel, you know, and not to leave them and leave them and say, "Oh, that's okay," you know. They'll deal with it.
That's women's business.
That's right. Yeah. And but also on the top of that is to take them for granted, you know, that yeah, they are cooks. They'll be cooking, or they'll be doing the washing. Not to take people for granted. That's what respect. It's a whole thing. It's a pot. Respect is a pot with all the things in it, which it gives a good relationship in a relationship. Yeah.
The family. Oh.
Yeah.
What does respect towards women looks like in your community? That's a broad question. So
what does in the community? How does respect towards women look like in our community? It's so kind of is to be able to be able to share in doing things in a home, and to help with the chores and all sorts of chores. And again, it takes up what I was saying before, that in the community whereby a man asking, what can I do? How can I help? And also to know that things are not decided. This is a man does this, a woman does that, but able to be a community from a community relationship. That's what I see as it is.
I think also, Fred, because you have been involved in a lot of community education, trying to empower the community, to break away the stereotyping of African men. They treat their women badly, sort of like educating empowering the men and women to be able to fit in within this society.
Yes,
so that's breaking the cycle.
That's right. Yeah, because we've got as African men or African culture in one way. I'm just putting broadly, but that men have always been up at the top in our sort of culture, that the women are subservient to women, but the breaking of the culture and say no. Men and women are equal. There's not equal in every way. That they help each other to have a common work, or dealing with things and working together, rather than living up. She will do that, or he will. That's why I do this. You do that. That's what.
Yeah. Also, what do you, I think you have talked briefly of what you understand, what is gender equality, or do you want to elaborate on that, or do you want
gender equality, I think it's a term which is being thrown around. Really, people tend to misinterpret it as being gender equality to mean equality just for the women, or I'd say the ladies, but really gender equality is for both a man and not to put one person on top, but just the people, to the gender equality for both people, and to be united together, and without saying, and that's why we're having the problem at the moment. In Australia, where men still think that they are better than the women. Like you look at the pay, and women doing the same job as the men, but they're being paid less because they are women. But gender equality means man and woman together. Even the job, the job the lady is doing, and deserves what a man is earning. That's what it is. If a man can cook, then why not grow together? That's the sort of gender equality it is. That to realize that we have both one, rather than saying that one is better or better or on top or better than the other one. Yeah.
That one, you mean to say that people should be treated the way how they would like to be treated?
Oh, definitely. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And what is the qualities that are most important to you and your community?
I guess being here in Australia, which is a different culture, which is a shock to the system, especially to the men have dealt with, especially at the beginning, is to people to realize that people realizing that we are in a different culture, which has got laws which give everybody a chance, give everybody an opportunity, give everybody equality, and so that men, so that both men respect the women for what they do, and vice versa. I don't know whether that makes any sense.
Oh,
You can elaborate on that. Does that make sense at all to anyone? Or
anybody can chip in, or if you have any questions.
Sarah, does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. Definitely. I think there's lots of great points that you raised. Particularly about the shared responsibilities, and I think the idea is that we need to normalize this idea of shared responsibilities. It shouldn't be that my husband does this there and it's something special. Yes, it is to a degree there, but still in terms of gender equality, really we need to normalize the sharing responsibilities. We need to normalize the idea of respect. We need to normalize the idea of gender equality. So addressing the gender pay gap and addressing the idea that women are carers all the time there, because men are also carers, and it should be normalized that they also need to take on that responsibility.
Yes.
Not just the female and the mother who is the head of the household and takes care of the children and so forth there, because these days especially, it's really important that parenting is a joint responsibility.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely some really wise points, and I don't know if anybody else would like to add in.
I think the only point which was really important is the respectful relationship. I think with that, having that equal respect for each other is really, really important in family setting. I think if we have respect for each other, there is a peace, and we can able to work together. And actually, all this we are talking about, whether gender rules and all those things, if there's a respect in the house, you would bother cooking, you would bother doing all a domestic job. Yeah.
And one other thing I forgot to mention, which is very, very important in a relationship, is trust. It's part of. It's a very, very. If in the relationship there's no trust, might as well just forget about it, because if a man cannot trust his wife or his partner
or children,
it really is. So it's very, very important to have that on board. What my partner is doing, or what my wife is doing, or where she's going, or where she's going. She's running the home, and so the money she's taking, she's buying stuff for the family to look after the family, rather than say, "Oh, you've been to the shop. I want to see the receipt." I want everything itemized to show that the money you've got, and give. And if there's a money left, give it to me because I'm the man. If there's no trust, then really, what's the point? Because one will always be jealousy, or will be always
think of the past.
Yeah, exactly. I
think also for me, what I am picking up is that respect of respecting the children, respecting the everybody in the family in unity or even the community, and how we show respect. That's very important.
Yes.
Because we as parents, it is how do we communicate to our children, to the community. Respectful communication. I picked up that is very important. I think.
Definitely, exactly. Yeah.
Very much so. Thank you so much, Fred, for your wise words once again there. We might actually move on to our second guest speaker. So I will give the floor to Lillian to introduce our second guest speaker.
Good evening, everyone. It's just an honor and a privilege actually to be part of the 16 days of activism. Over the last few weeks, I've been really honored to be with Sarah, Teresa, Sylvia, and Fatima. Has been amazing. So this Zoom is very important. And this evening, I want to introduce one of our important person is Hilary Bushumi. Hilary is a spouse, is a father, he's a grandfather. He's a Burundian Australian. He arrived in 2005 through humanitarian visa. After studying university in Burundi, he taught at secondary school for 13 years. And then after that, he fled the country and he was in a refugee camp in Tanzania for 12 years. He worked 12 years after being in a refugee camp. He arrived to Australia, and then he worked for 12 years in the settlement sector. So he's actually has got a very good understanding of families and yeah, all that goes on in a family background. He's been the chairperson for Burundian community here in Victoria from 2005 to 2011. Yeah, that background really tells us about who he is, and quite an honor and privilege to have him speak for us on respect tonight. Do you have a few more you can add on to that, Hilary?
Thank you, Lillian. Hi, everyone. As Lillian said, my name is Hilary, and well, don't be fooled by what you see on the screen there. My name is Marie-Louise. Marie-Louise is rather my wife. Well, Louise, sorry. There is one E which is missing. So in regards to my background or my biography, there is not much to add. There's not much to add. I think you said it all, and you even added. Does not mean that you said wrong. It is quite true. But yes, that's me. So in talking about respect, for me, respect is a kind of attitude. I define it as attitude for someone where we acknowledge, where we value the positive actions of someone, their feelings, their beliefs, as we trust, as we acknowledge our own attitudes and feelings and positive actions. It is taking, for me, it is taking or accepting the other, in inverted commas, accepting the other as they are. And the other here is our wife, any woman, any child, well, someone who is different from us, accepting them as they are. Particularly if we talk about things like religious beliefs or culture, it is the way we treat those people, women, children, the one who is different from us. Even if we don't agree with them, we just accept that the fact that they are different, and we avoid to criticize. I guess this is what I would say about respect. Now, in talking about respect between men and women, because you talk about gender equality, I guess it is built on a trust, as Fred said. It is built on trust that you are a man, you have your qualities, you have your strengths, but also your wife, your children, the other has their own strengths, qualities, and aptitudes. It is also built on something I call serenity. Serenity, in that as women, as men, sorry, as men, when we consider the rights of the women, for instance, we should not feel that accepting that the women have their rights is going to take us or taking away our own rights as human beings. We will not lose anything if we allow our women, our wives, to enjoy their human rights. So this is what I call serenity. But also, I think women should stand up for their rights.
Can you stay back a little bit from the camera, please? Because your face is half.
Oh yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear. Like that.
It's okay.
I'm saying.
Thanks. Good.
I'm saying women should stand up for their own rights. They should enjoy the human rights as any other person in this world enjoys them. And also maybe, how can I put it? Feel that they have the power. That they have the power and that no one can stop them from enjoying their own rights. Now, there was a question which was raised, in African communities, in African families, sometimes, you know, the man is considered the powerful person in the family. Well, what I see now in our communities is that idea is being abandoned slowly, because we are in another environment. Our wives, our sisters here, they can't go to school. No one will stop them from going to school, which was sometimes not possible back in Burundi, for instance, where I come from. They can't get a job, and the husband will not hassle them about, you know, always getting the money, giving the money back once they get paid. I guess many men don't even know maybe the pin of their wives. I would hope it happens, but I think it is not always the case. Okay, and also we see women here in our community, you know, being representatives of the others. They enter mortgages. They contribute to the family life. They pay for the expenses just as the men does. So I think in this environment, it is a bit changing positively. I don't know what you want me to add.
I think that's very informative, Hilary. Thanks so much. I think that's really highly informative. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Hilary. Once again, like Fred, like very wise words. I think, you know, there's a particular point that you made about women's economic empowerment, which is something that we see a lot here, like, you know, as an issue. You know, I think particularly the pandemic has definitely made, like, you know, other issues of like family violence, like, you know, really come to light there, particularly with economic abuse and coercive control. I think someone had their hand up, but anybody else want to contribute?
I was gonna add. Oh.
You can fight it out with each other.
No, let Teresa go first. Thank you.
We don't hear you.
Teresa, you're on mute.
She's on mute, yeah.
No, I have a loud voice. It can go through. Hilary, you said something about you don't know whether it is still happening here or of men not sharing their financial, wanting to know how much with the women going. Or do you think it is happening, or you mentioned something, but I didn't quite clearly understand what you meant.
Well, so what I meant is when I came as a refugee in Australia, we were taught that bank details are private. So the woman, the wife, the elder child, those child who are adults, they can keep their bank details secret for themselves. So I know in my community, some women did not want to disclose whatever they had in their bank account to their husbands. And that created a few issues in the families. But what I was saying is, I would hope that now, in many families, they share that information, so that if the husband is sick, his wife can use his card to go withdraw some money, pay some bills and things like that. As we said, based on trust.
Trust, yeah.
And also, if I can add another one, complementarity. Complementarity, understanding that we complete each other. We don't compete, we complete each other. So this is what I meant. I would hope that in more and more families would have that trust to be able to share the PIN with the husband or the wife. But I know, I guess in some situations it's not that.
We have a few people who have raised their hands. I'm just going to order Rebecca.
Thank you very much for that opportunity. I've got a question. Of course, tonight I'm representing Nelson Mandela Day Commemorative Committee and then Afri-Aussie ILIAC and Padini Gender. My question is directed to Hilary. Since you have touched the idea of the need for women's economic empowerment, within our African communities and other CARD communities, there's been a common say or an issue being raised that, you know, when a couple comes over to Australia, you find that most jobs are they are pro-women, and it's most of the women who access most of the jobs that are available, and even accessing Centrelink. And because of that, there have been some issues or issues of relationships within the family, loss of respect probably coming from the woman, and the husband feeling like they're being disrespectful. Within that context, what would be your advice to other men? So how can they deal with that situation where they feel like that they are disempowered, that they can still maintain respect for their wives and still continue to have peaceful family married life with their children also? Thank you.
Thank you. I guess it is a hard question. It is a hard question since, you know, that attitude of some women getting, you know, all the money, especially the allowances for the children, going into their bank account, and then because the man has been the main provider before back in Burundi, it is sometimes a situation which started already in the refugee camps, where people were being given food. So the man is not providing anymore, and the wife and the children sometimes also, seeing that the man is not the main provider anymore, they would disrespect him. I remember one saying, how can I translate it in English? They were saying, oh, maybe praise the white man who gives me food. Praise to you, white man, because you give me food. Meaning my husband is not able to give me food anymore, so he's worthless. But this is in families where that trust did not exist before. So if they come in a situation where the man is not able to fulfill his first, responsibilities or traditional responsibilities, then he kind of is disrespected. But in other families where that trust was strong, where they were feeling that it is a complementarity applying, where the same trust state, the same situation of a complementarity state. Now, in a country like Australia, where what men can do, I guess they have to do their best to try to find a way to get jobs, to do trainings, but not to show to the woman that now they have money, then they are powerful. Just to be part of another contributor in the family. So it should not be built on how can I put it, in a situation of conflict or competition, that I bring more in the family, then I'm the most important. It should not be like that. It should be like, I contribute, you contribute, she contributes, he contributes, we contribute, everyone. Yes, we are equal.
Thank you, Hilary.
I don't know if.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Definitely, I really love the last bit there about, we contribute, we together in a partnership. We're not competing against each other. We're complementing each other. Definitely, something that I think is a great takeaway from this session. I know myself, a wise woman once told me that, the relationship should add value to your life. You should be able to be best friends and partners, to make a healthy relationship. There's a couple more people who've got their hands up. Mimi, sorry to keep you waiting. Mimi, we can't hear you.
What about now?
Can you hear? Perfect.
Yeah, sorry, it's probably my headphones. Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you, Hilary, for the wonderful words about what respect means for the Burundian community that lives here in Australia. A quick question that came around what you were talking about in regards to economic and financial respect among people who live together and love each other. I was wondering, what are your thoughts? Because we hear stories, maybe because people have lived in refugee camps in the past and life was really dire and very difficult and complicated. And then they get to this land and they start a new life where opportunities are available. But then most often men take control in the couple. They take control. They decide what the woman is going to do with the money when the money comes at home, if she's going to work or not. And if she works, how much is the husband going to keep and control? And what is she allowed to buy? Is she buying anything for herself? Is she buying things for her children? How much she's actually allowed to receive? So my question here to you is, how do people who have gone through so many struggles and challenges in the past, gone through war, lived in refugee camps, are now in this good place, can negotiate, especially women, I want to say, and girls. How can they negotiate having financial freedom and respect from their partners at home? I'll be interested to listen to you, because I can see Marie-Louise smiling there, and it looks like she's enjoying that freedom, and we want to hear how is that negotiated at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. Well, so you are waiting to see or to hear if she's going to complain that I ask her to what she earns. Well, what you say is true. Back in Burundi, most men would ask most of the money that their wife has earned. That's true. They would, take control. Yes, that's true. But once again, in families where love prevails and respect prevails,
Trust.
yes, and the trust as well, those kind of situations don't happen. They don't happen. Let's say in this country, I know a few women who even work night shifts, which would not be really accepted back in Burundi. I don't think so. But in here, they are allowed to work even night shifts. Liliani is one example. Just one example. This means that in those families, well, if there is any problem, for me, the solution would be dialogue. Talk to each other, discuss what my man or my wife, what do we need? This is that the amount we have earned together. Not you, your amount, and me, my income. No, the income, both incomes together. Even if you have a child who is earning something, let's put all that together and see the right needs of the family. Your daughter or son may need a car because they go to work far, or they need private transport to reach their workplace. You can't say, oh, me, I'm the man in the family, or I'm your mom. You don't buy a car before me. If they need it, well, you have to allow it. So I put that in the context of dialogue, frank dialogue. And then that way, I guess, some problems will be solved. I don't think that all the problems in families will be solved, but at least most of them will be.
Thank you, Hilary.
My pleasure.
Sylvia, did you have a question?
No, but I just wanted to talk about something that just quickly, because I'm conscious of the time, that Hilary raised very early in the start when he talked about women need to stand up and speak up, and it's programs like these. I know this 16 days of activism comes around once a year, but it should be 365 days a year, not just during this time. So it's very good that you have acknowledged that women need to speak up and stand up, and it's programs that like this that actually empower women to do that, to give them the strength, to give them that little bit of courage to speak up and to stand up for their rights. Thank you.
Thank you too, and also to support them in that.
Definitely, and of course, it is about having an open dialogue, because if we don't say something, then we know that the problems can keep coming and coming and coming. And if we don't talk about it, then people don't know. And then that causes conflict, which may lead to family violence there, but not all the time. And on that note, I'd actually like to be able to move on to another guest speaker, and I'll hand the floor over to Sylvia to introduce our next guest speaker.
Bula Vinaka, everyone. My name is Sylvia Coombe, and I'm the president of the Fijian Community Association of Victoria. If any of you don't know where Fiji is, we're somewhere closer to New Zealand than we are to Australia, but it's a #1 destination for a lot of Australians and New Zealanders to go on holiday. You know, and we're very well known for our contagious laugh and our easygoing island-style arrival to any meeting, but we'll be there when the food's there. As soon as the food's there, we're there. Anything else, we're not there. But before I start, I want to really acknowledge Teresa from the African Women and Families Network, Lillian from the Burundian Cultural Ladies, Sarah from MiCare, and Faduma from the Somali Women's Group. It is such a great opportunity for us Pacific Islanders it's our actual first time working with African community groups. And we're very excited to be working on this project with these strong women and strong men that are here on this program. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Chotami Ratambua. Chotami is a native Fijian, and he migrated to Australia at the end of December 2005. He's happily married with 3 young children and 2 older children from a previous marriage. He is tertiary qualified in telecommunication engineering and works as a senior technical officer with Air Services Australia, based at the Tullamarine Airport Air Services compound. He is part of the engineering and technical team that install and maintain and ensure the safety of the communications, navigation, surveillance, and air traffic management system for the Australian Air Force, airspace. He's a devout Christian since September 2003 and has not turned back from the walk with Jesus Christ since then. It is with this experience that has given him a new worldview, including how he treats other people and the women in his life, especially his wife. He entered the University of Marriage in 2004 and is still learning, knowing that no one graduates. He has been an elder in the Seventh-day Adventist Church since 2005. And in his capacity as an elder, he has taken many roles such as youth leader and mentor, including family life ministry and women's ministry at his different local churches a few times over the years. He joined the Fijian Community Association Victoria since its inception 7 years ago, and is now actively working as the chair for our association's spiritual and community welfare across all of Victoria. Please welcome Mr. Chotami Ratambua.
Thank you, Sylvia. Just wanted to add there, don't want my wife thinking that I'm married before I got married to her. No, I only have one wife. But thank you for that introduction. I think you all must be sitting there thinking, what has this got to do with the topic we're discussing? I want to thank all the previous presenters. Thank you very much. And for those of you who are organizing this, this is something that is very real, and there is a challenge to all different ethnic communities that migrate to a culture like Australia, because we come with the different cultures that we have and the way that we were brought up. And all of a sudden we are introduced into a culture that is totally different from what we have back home. So for me, my presentation, I would like to just tell my story, if that's okay. To begin with, I would like to answer the question, what defines an indigenous Fijian man? Okay, so in our society, there are 2 things that define a Fijian man, and that is culture and religion. And these are the 2 pillars of indigenous Fijian communities, and then running through these pillars are a common thread of do's and don'ts. And when I say that, I believe that most other cultures would agree that this is the way we were raised. So if you're a boy, you'll be told you're a boy. You do this, and you have ownership, control, and authority over this and this. If you're a girl, you'll possibly be told that you're a girl. You'll have to cook, clean up, wash dishes, wash clothes, and you have to be ready to listen to your husband. Now, naturally, the Fijian man is something of a king in his own kingdom. As a Fijian man, I will be called to eat first. I can drink as much kava as I want. I can talk nonsense with my peers for hours, and no one will stop me. When I go to sleep, no one is to disturb me. When I speak, no one is to interrupt me, not my wife, not my children, not even men who are younger or inferior in rank to me. My power and privilege is unparalleled, especially when compared to women in our society. Perhaps the most significance of the Fijian man to me is his ability to evade responsibility and accountability for his own actions. My own mother had to endure years of physical and emotional abuse at the hands and legs of a man who is my own father. What has become clear to me as the abuse of privilege and power that a Fijian man can have, what it can do to a loving, duty-bound wife, what it can do to innocent children and to a family. With injuries, my own mother was reserved to believing that she can do better next time, as she believed that to become the ideal Fijian woman, she had to go through the things that she endured. When I got married, this was the Fijian man that I'd grown up learning to become. But I'd made myself a promise that my wife will not go through what my mother went through. Though this was a promise I made to myself, practically, I found out that naturally I was drawn to become a copy of the man that I learned of growing up all my life and had to fight really hard to not react and relate like he did. Luckily, 1 year into my marriage, I migrated to Australia with my Fijian Australian wife. This is where things got interesting because of the very strict laws on abuse against women in Australia. And I had to very quickly unlearn the definition of the Fijian man I have known all my life and rethink the Fijian man who was going to live in Australia. I turned to God. Matthew 7:12 says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." It's a biblical concept spoken by Jesus in Luke chapter 6, verse 31, and Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. It is something commonly referred to as the golden rule. So in everything, to do unto others what you would have them do to you. That is the golden rule. And as for myself, I quickly had to put in place in my own life some Christian principles that I would have just neglected. And one of those was to learn to die to self. Galatians chapter 2, verse 20 says, "I have been crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself to me." Most Fijian men are Christians. Unfortunately, most Fijian men do not also live by Christian values. No. And I found myself having to front up, and I really had to die to self to be able to live and fit in the life that I've come to live in Australia with my wife. And when things get tense, when we have disagreements, as every relationships have, I learned very quickly to teach myself to die to self. Okay, in the sense that what I feel in this really doesn't matter. The hurtful words are not to me because I have died with Christ. This is a Christian principle that every Christian should know about. And this is how I managed to cope with those years. And in the Bible, there is a teaching also that we are all created equal. In the book of Galatians, it says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. So this is again another Christian teaching, that if all Christian males were living too, then there would be little problems in the family, in our relationships. So for us as a couple, things really became more healthy, or the relationship became better when we were actually introduced to a book and a marriage enrichment movement called Love and Respect. Okay, I'm holding this book up. I hope you can, it's the other way around. I'm sorry, I forgot to make my video not switch around. Anyway, why do I bring this principle to our discussion today? For me personally, this is where things really began to make sense. There is another Bible verse that this concept of love and respect is based off, and that is found in the book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33. And this whole movement, it's a worldwide movement of marriage enrichment that go on the concept of love and respect. We are talking about respect for women here, but please just hear me out. This will really make sense, regardless of what culture you come from. Ephesians 5:33 says, nevertheless, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself. Listen, man, each one of us must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. However, each one of you must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So again, I say, each man must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. 3 times, the same verse. We are being told to love our wives, our spouse, our partners, and women are to respect their husbands. The book and the teaching here, which I found that really worked in my own personal walk and my marriage, it teaches that the woman's primary need is to be loved. A wife has one driving need, to feel loved. When that need is met, she is happy. The man's primary need is to be respected. A husband has one driving need, to feel respected. When that need is met, he is happy. Now, when neither of these need isn't met, when either of these need isn't met, things get crazy. For women, how can I get my husband to love me as much as I love him? And many relationships break down because of the crazy cycle. And this is the crazy cycle. When a man feels that he has been disrespected, he shuts down and he reacts without love to his wife. When a woman feels that she is unloved, she reacts without respect to her husband. And this cycle continues and things get crazy. He reacts without love. She reacts without respect. The book and the enrichment seminar taught us that men and women need to energize each other with love. The challenge is for men to continue to love even though he is being disrespected. And the challenge for the woman is continue to make her husband feel the respect, even though she's not feeling loved. I personally find it hard to be unloving to my wife when I feel respected. I find myself showering her with love when I feel that she respects me. Now, as a modern Fijian man in Australia, I've come to learn the love language that works. Giving your wife the space and room she needs to grow and excel. Sharing the responsibilities, cook, wash the dishes, have our share of minding the children. Treating her as you would want her to treat you. Talk to her, listen actively to her, empathize with her, encourage her, and do not go into shutdown mode. Talk about the issue, listen and explain myself. Expect that for her, even though there may be one issue that I'm thinking about, to her it's a whole lot of other issues. And I should allow her to let go. And I need to stand there and listen. This is me loving her. Love her immediate and extended family as I love my own, and contribute to her family functions as I would to my own. I take responsibilities for my words and my actions. So you see, we talk about respect for our women, but within the concept of our relationship, I have come to learn that my wife's innermost desire is for me to love her. And I've shared some of the love languages that I've come to learn myself at work. And practically for me, when I see that I'm showing love to my wife, she respects me. And the more she respects me, the more I love her. And the more I love her, the more she respects me. And that's how we energize each other in our relationship. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, just realized I was on, and I seem to have a bit of an echo, so I hope that it will subside. But definitely, I just wanted to sort of touch on a few of the things that you said, particularly about the language of love. And I just sort of want to make it quite clear that, you know, love and respect go hand in hand there. And when, you know, that when there is love there, love is very much like, you know, a conditional process where you would accept that, like, you know, people have their own opinions and values, and you promote that within the relationship there. I think that's something that is very, very important. And it shouldn't just be about that they're allowed to have feelings there, that they are entitled to have these feelings, and that each and every person in the relationship there has a right to say how they are, and also a right to leave, even if that person thinks that that is particularly the language of love that they're showing them, if that language of love there is something that is harmful. So definitely, I just wanted to point that out there, that of course, like, you know, the language of love is very important there. And of course, it's important to energize each other and respect each other. But it is when that language of love is no longer something about respect and is harmful, then, like, you know, definitely I believe you would say that, you know, we would encourage people to really think about it there and to look at their own like safety and also their own personal values. But thank you for those words. They're very, very informative and very, you know, nice to hear from a faith perspective as well there, because it's not something that we often hear from. I can see that someone already has their hand up already. Sunny, you've got your hand up for a question.
Yeah, I think you point out what I was trying to say. Like, getting something from the fit perspective is really good, and especially talking about love, I guess. And where there is love, there is always that respect, and the biblical point of view, being in marriage, they say the two shall become one.
Yes.
So if you guys are one, you speak with one voice, you care for each other, you respect each other. What is good for you is good for your partner. And if there is that understanding, there is that love existing in any relationship, I think it is peaceful, and that is all we we want as a community, and so that we can able to actually able to handle what family violence within the community. Start with the home, then spread within the community and all that. So like if there is a love within the home, then will be good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. In reality, if there is love, there is respect. If there is no respect, you don't have love. So yeah. From my perspective as a community leader in the Fijian community, this is the way I share this, because we all say that we are Christians, but if we don't love our spouse and treat them the way we want to be treated, then we are not really being Christians. We are being hypocrites. So that's the perspective that I share. The topic that we're talking about, how men are working alongside women to build healthy, happy relationships.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say it extends beyond the faith perspective and should be something that applies to every individual within various communities there, and not just like, who we have represented here. But thank you so much. I can see that there are so many people here on the chat there who have really loved your information that you just shared with us there. So it's now my turn. So I'm very, very pleased to have two guest speakers with me here today. So I'd like to firstly introduce the first guest speaker on behalf of MiCare, which is Sebastian. So Sebastian is a community leader for the Chinese community there, and has also been training as a peer facilitator for Baby Makes 3. Sebastian is a little bit new to this area, but has been quite inspired by myself through many, many long conversations. So please join me in welcoming Sebastian.
Thank you, Sarah, for inviting me to this fantastic event. And hi, everyone, and thanks for having me here to share about the, about respect in gender equality in Chinese community. And so was like to see how should I start it. So there are few points which we'd like to share. It's about what happens in the Chinese community about respect towards gender equality, and also about respect to what women's in Chinese community, and the specialties about Chinese community, and what I do in I won't say it's 100% as a representative to the Chinese community, but that's what I do in my family. The Chinese community has I would say has a big shift toward respect in between the genders. Traditionally, I would say it's very functional, which a lot of us here has shared about men as a breadwinner. This is pretty much the same in the Chinese community. Man goes out to work, and women's looking after children in the household, and staying at home as a housewife, or even the wife go to work as well. So I would say wife is more capable than husband. That should give acknowledgement to the wives. But things has changed a bit in the newer generation, where I see the husband and wife are more equally share in responsibility. For some reason, there are many reasons. One is like the one-child policy, which make men's and ladies are trained to be more responsible in some way. Or on the other hand, the men learn to pick up some skills, especially what I see in here in Australia as a new migrant or as a migrant from overseas, from China. We don't have, you know, like myself, I don't have parents in Australia, so I got to do things on my own, and so I pick up all different skills to look after myself. And so when we have the family, we tend to have that kind of skills and responsibility to look after family. So I see that kind of change in the Chinese community, particularly in Australia as a migrant. Well, the reason saying that is what I also see is this is not the same shift in mainland China as yet. But sadly, there are more domestic violence against women arising in China, mainland China at the moment. So it's not a good thing to see. But what I see in Australia here, men and women are share a little bit more responsibility within the family, which is a good thing, a good shift, which I have seen in Australia here. And so, and what I also see about respect for women in my community now, it's as husband, we respect more voices of the wives. So we do respect the opinions of wife. So it's not just man's decision, but we also would asking for wife. For instance, if as a group of friends, we asking a man or a husband, would they be available? And someday he will say, "Oh, let me check with my wife." So that's a big shift. That's a big shift, and which is a good thing. And that will also empower the wife to make more critical decisions. And so about what's special about the Chinese community is that, as I just mentioned, I see the big shift, especially in the younger generation in the Chinese Australian community. And I would say the Chinese community are very resilient. No matter what, they have the belief that they can conquer that and they can go through that, or they will work hard to, you know, to walk through that difficulties. And same as to women in the Chinese community. You know, they got to work, as I said, they got to work and they got to look after the household. They got to have, you know, look after children. They're more capable than men. This is how I see. I believe Sarah didn't heard from me once at least. My wife is more capable than me. She's smarter than me. She got more degrees than me. She got a higher tertiary level than me. I won't say she's the boss, but it's a blessing to have her. And also in the Chinese community, we were taught and we learn to respect the senior. This is also what we have learned. So this is a good concept and value that we pass on to our next generation. Sorry, my boy just came in.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Definitely while Sebastian is attending to his child, I mean, hey, this is a really good example of gender equality in the home. You know, definitely, I think, like, you know, Sebastian is definitely a great role model for a lot of men here there and taking on the shared responsibility of parenting.
Sorry. Yeah, so this is what I do. I would say for the first 3 years of my first child, I have 2 young children. For my first child, I would say I'm a husband. not only like, yeah. And what Chotami, was it Chotami? Yeah. So I also hold in Christian value as well, and that also influenced me a lot. and this is what I try to practice, and to raise children, because children is very important. Thank you. Sorry, he told me he's borrowing. We got the essential oil incense, and he said it's danger with no attendance, and he just blew the fire away, and he just it's the fire's off. Okay, thank you. Good boy. Raising children is very important, but also it's important as a father and a husband to share, not this task, but this responsibility as a parent with my wife, because children, they came from a partner. They can't just go from single. That's a shared responsibility. Not only my wife bear it, or neither only myself bear it, but we work together, because they are our children. And also respect my wife. What we have commonly share, communication, respect, and love, and that's very important. And that's what I'm still trying. I won't say I'm 100%, perfect. I do fail sometimes, but I can start again, because we are human. We sometimes make mistake. Well, not a big mistake, but sometimes I'm not being patient, so I'm not listening. But this is something I have in my mind. This is what I need to practice. And so same as to the Chinese community, or even the border community, this is very important too. And also being acceptance to the partner, it's very important, because no one is perfect. We got to be acceptive in their mistakes of who they are, especially after we get married. We marry that person no matter what, the good and the bad. That's what we have married, and it's a package. It's a package, but that's also a blessing, because once we can walk through that, we have a human growth. We develop ourselves. We grow as a human being, and we are being wiser in a way. So that those are all very important. And so this is my sharing. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for understand with my boy. He usually sleep already. We had a friend came over tonight, so it delays a bit, and sorry about that.
Don't apologize. And I think it's definitely wonderful, because it gives a really good example of the shared parenting responsibility, and amplifying what you had talked about, which is baby makes three. It takes two to have a baby, and so forth there. And definitely I would agree with you in terms of there's a shift in the Chinese way of thinking relating to women and gender and equality and so forth there. As someone who is of Chinese background but born here in Australia, my parents came here as migrants, and it was a really big shift for them there. Both my parents were working. My mum was a nurse, so she worked night shift, and my dad took care of us. My earliest memories are of my dad, actually taking care of me, and we would go to the park and everything there. So definitely it's a great sort of shift in terms of attitudes. I mean, there is still that sort of longing to hold on to tradition where my father will sort of tell me about, you should get married because you need someone to look after you, even though I'd point out that, well, I'm quite capable of looking after myself there. And on one hand he will say, I want you to be a manager, and then on the other hand it'll be like, but no, you're still my baby, so I still need to hang on to you. You still need to be careful. I still don't want you to travel anywhere there. There's lots of scary men out here there. And I have to kindly remind him, Dad, I am the manager, and this is what I do for a living. So I think I'm pretty okay. And I have traveled to many, many places by myself, including Kenya, and I have lived there, and I came back in one piece, so I think I'm okay. So definitely, I think there is a change, and I'm hoping that, like, you know, the future generation, perhaps like Sebastian's children, will definitely grow up to continue and further this change. So thank you so much for sharing, Sebastian. And definitely it's about a growth mindset, and it's something that we want to take away from forums like this. So without further ado, from Asia to Africa, back again there to the Western Sierra Leone, I'd like to introduce my next guest speaker, Sunny. Sunny is a really great partner of MiCare. So Sunny has been working with us for a while now through his community, the Sierra Leone Friendship Association of Australia. Sunny is a community leader and has been championing the prevention of family violence for quite some time now in his community, including the participation in various projects with MiCare, such as Safer and Strong Communities, and also the multicultural COVID-19 family violence, in which Sunny and his community just recently completed training on recognizing, referring, and responding to family violence. So I will hand the floor over to Sunny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction, and thanks to all present here tonight. And yeah, let me bring a perspective from the Sierra Leone and African community, as Sarah said. So gender equality in my community, or my, how can I say, my household, one of the things we have been doing as a community is actually like to support women and women empowerment, to share, especially with the leadership of the community, which we see is very, very important. So with this, as Sarah was saying, we have the Sierra Leone Friendship, Sierra Leone Australia Friendship Association, which was formed, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. So one way to actually promote or empower women in leadership position, we try to almost all the position we are giving to women, so that they can able to lead the community in the best way. And we know if they can take care of a home, they can take care of a community. So we have that perspective. And I can remember there was a time I stood up for a community leadership position, and one of the header get up and say, we are actually encouraging women to take leadership position this time around. And I was contesting with a woman. So like I just stood up and just say, congratulations, I congratulate the lady that I was contesting with. They said, why? I said, she's already the winner, because we are encouraging. If you as a community leader, you say we are encouraging women. So like, if there's a woman I contest with, is merely the there's all reason that I can give us my support, and we give her the leadership, which everyone in the room was actually surprised and accepted as a good fit. And from there we move on. So as a community, what does respect towards women look like in our community? We actually try to, like I was saying, listen to women and be accountable to women, because in family violence, as we all know the statistics, women are the one who are actually suffering, who are the burden upon. So like, we want to be accountable to women. How can we be accountable? We try to involve them in whatever activities that we are doing. Like I'm working with men group, which we call Men of Brain Bank. What we try to do, we try to set an accountability committee, which is of women in the community, that we can be accountable, we can talk to, we can, even when we want to present and our slides and project that we want to work with, we want to talk with those women to see whether we are on the right track, to see whether we are doing the right thing, to see that what we are doing is making an impact so that they can able to evaluate, they can able to help us as they are the victim. They might know the solution, they might know how we can work to actually address this issue. So we try to be accountable. We try to believe women, because if you don't believe even your partner, there is no peace. So we try to believe women. We try to acknowledge them, whatever they are doing. Like I was listening to Sabatan when he was saying the wife is this and this and this. I think they're giving the acknowledgement to women. They love it, and which we need to be giving. If they are working hard, we need to actually like give them the acknowledgement. If they are doing a lot in the community, we acknowledge them. I think that is gender equality, because if men are working hard, you give them that praise. So if women are working hard, we're supposed to be giving them that praise. We're supposed to be recognizing what they are doing in the community, what they are doing in the house. So I think that can keep us moving. So as in my community, we have religious leaders who are women, and like this just like part of how we promote gender equality in our community. We believe in, and everyone have that equal chances, and like we have community leaders who are women, community religious leaders, and we have educators and people who can make decisions on behalf of the community who are women, that can actually help to move the community forward. One of the things that is very, very important to me and to my community is respectful relationship. As I was saying, if we have that respectful relationship, and as a family or even within your community, we respect each other, we give respect where respect is due. We have we promote gender equality. We promote, like when Sabata was talking again about that family union, that togetherness. Bringing that shared responsibility is really, really important, because there most time issue arise, and you don't want to do the domestic job, you don't want to do the child, bringing out the children is really, really important. So we have that share. Like me and my partner, we get 3 boys, and it's sometimes busy. So what do? We have that share responsibility. She normally I resign from my full-time job because I know if I'm working full-time, it will be a much burden on her. So I resign from full-time job. I work part-time. She work in the morning, I work in the afternoon. I do the drop off of the kids to school. She do the pickup while I'm going to work, and all that. And you can see when you are working in that team, you can see even the resources can come, because if she's coming with some money, you are coming with some money, you put it together, it will be more like in most Africa setting, the husband want to work. He want to work full time. You want to have that power by bringing all the money home, because when you as a husband in Africa setting, you're bringing all the money home, you have most of the decision, because you think you are just sitting home and failing to realize that looking after children is most difficult thing. Like I know I've been with my boys, 3 boys, like always shouting and shouting. So like, but if women are doing it, we just think it is just a small job. It is a big job. So like, if women are even helping with bringing up kids, we might also acknowledge them, and actually think most of bringing children up is difficult than even working in the most difficult industry. So that respectful relationship, promoting that gender equality, family union, and togetherness is really, really important in my household and my community. because I believe in when you keep on those three things, you'll be happy in your family, and when you are happy, even the community can see you guys and as a role model and all that. That is what I normally say. When you are in this sector, you want to work, whether as primary prevention program, family violence, you need to be a role model, because if you are not a role model, how are you going to stop violence in your community? How are you going to stop violence if there's violence in your household? You can't be able to tell people and what to do. So people, you need to be a role model in your household, in your community, so that you can able to actually talk to other people in your community. That is why, like, I am always happy to work as an ally in family violence, so that I keep on learning, I keep on working with other organizations, other networks, so that we all can contribute different information or background. That is what I normally like opt. I recently opt for AIMS training, just like keep together, get that network, so that you getting idea from different background. I think is a good resources. Like as I was saying, when we are on this and Safer and Stronger program, I was telling Sarah, when you gain an idea, bringing all people from different perspectives, different cultural background, all those ideas coming together is a big resources. So that is why, as if you actually want to operate in this line, you just keep on going for those workshops, going for those free section, going for those online training, and building up, getting all those resources, so that it can be useful for you, it can be useful for your community. Because of time, I think, Sarah, I can stop here, and yeah, I am just happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If you guys have any questions, yeah.
You know, wonderful as always. And, you know, I think as someone who is coordinating the projects there, it is such a great thing to have people like Sunny who talk about, you know, in order to prevent violence in my community, you know, I need to be a role model. I need to ensure that I am upholding, you know, respect for relationships there, that my home is free of violence, and that this should be a normality. This shouldn't be something extra special, and what I'm doing, you know, shouldn't be extra special either. I mean, like, you know, in this day and time, you know, we really celebrate these kind of like, you know, actions from men there, because it is such a lovely kind of like, not just a gesture, but an actual action whereby, you know, there's a realization that this is how I will be in my community as an ally in order to prevent violence against women. And just like all the men that we've had as guest speakers today, you know, definitely, I think on behalf of myself and the rest of the project partners, like, you know, we definitely applaud you for, you know, taking on that responsibility of challenging the particular like notions that society puts on what it means to be masculine, you know, or what your religion portrays stereotypically as being masculine. So Chotami, like, you know, when you spoke about like, you know, being raised as a Fijian man and what that meant there, and how, you know, when you came to Australia, it suddenly you had this change of mindset that you're like, no, you know, definitely I don't want to be like this there, you know, and that realization, and to be able to come to that, that is an achievement in itself there. You know, Fred, like, you know, you talked about respect for relationships and respectful communications. Hillary, you spoke about the economic empowerment. All these, like, you know, different things combined together make up respect for relationships there. And, you know, just like, you know, what we've said before, for Sylvia, who's like, you know, definitely it shouldn't be just within 16 days of activism that we amplify the voice of women, and also that of men who are allies in their space there, but it should be 365 days of the year. You know, I love Sebastian and the candid moment where his son interrupted him there. You know, a great shining example of like, you know, a shared parental responsibility and the normality of, you know, what it's like to be working from home as a parent, and that, you know, we need to also recognize that, you know, it's great to see men like, you know, take on that parenting role as well. I mean, Sebastian could have said, no, you know, dad's busy and go away to mum. but he didn't. You know, he actually said, look, you know, yes, I'm a bit busy, but like, you know, we'll sort of like, you know, sort it out, and then like, you know, you can be on your way. And it's a really great candid example, you know, of like, you know, how men play allies just in our everyday lives. So a big round of applause and thank you to all our guest speakers for today. You know, definitely it's been fabulous to have all of you. And as this is being recorded, like, you know, we will send you a link there so you can play back the recording and share it with the rest of your communities. And just before we close off, I might just get Samantha, our wonderful student from MiCare, just to share like, you know, where you can actually get help there in case, you know, your communities are watching this there and, you know, potentially they might need to reach out for help there. So definitely I can also send this through to all of you, but we just want to make sure that, you know, if people are triggered by any of the conversations during this presentation, that they reach out to the service that they feel would be most appropriate to support themselves. So once again, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. It's been lovely to have you on this Sunday evening, and we hope that you will join us, like, you know, through our rest of the events. So next week on Sunday, same time, same place, we have Together with Young People. And to finish it off with a bang, the following Sunday, we'll have Together with Women, same time, same place. So we look forward to all seeing you there. Thank you so much.
Is that okay for group photo?
Yes, it is.
Then
So
they have to
smile,
take
everybody.
to take away the share the screen.
Samantha, can you stop sharing for now? Great.
Oh,
Thank you.
so what do we do to
Smile, Teresa.
pardon?
Smile.
Where am I?
You're on my screen. Can you let us know when you're taking the photo?
But I can't see with the whole screen. What can I do? Can you see the whole screen? Hussein?
Yep. Yeah. I didn't see you. Just 1 second. I just set up. Maybe.
Everybody,
Yeah.
on the count of 3, smile.
No, not everyone yet. But let's see. I don't know why.
I can take one. So if everybody is
Yep,
ready,
I don't know.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
smile.
Smile.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye, night.
Thank you,
Bye-bye,
Simon.
Miriam.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Good night, all.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.